well, I guess we might as well get started and see what we can do, and maybe Freddie will join when he gets here, so. Okay, welcome. I call to order this meeting of the City of St. Louis Soldiers Memorial Commission. Today is Thursday, March 18th, 2021, and my name is Linnea Magnuson, and we'll proceed according to the agenda, starting with the roll call of Soldiers Memorial Commissioners. So in alphabetical order, Commissioner Corinne Berger.
Here.
Here. Commissioner Jeffrey Boyd. Here. Commissioner Freddie Dunlap. Here. Commissioner Maurice Falls. Here. Commissioner Jason Fletcher.
Here.
Ray. Commissioner Tom Gilmore, not here. Commissioner Judith Hansis.
Here.
Yes. Commissioner Bruce Yampolsky. Maybe not, but he's usually here, so hopefully he'll come. And then myself, Linnea Magnuson, and we do not have a quorum today. So let's see here. The next thing on the agenda is a Pledge of Allegiance. I got it. It's up here and pledge. Okay. There we go. Okay. Corinne, would you lead us in the pledge? We hold on. You're muted here. Maybe we can start one more time.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And
and
To the republic which it stands,
one
nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Corinne. Okay. Well, we're not going to be able to approve we're not going to be able to approve our meeting minutes from the last meeting, so we'll have to table that till next time. Let me go back here and get this up again. There and shoot, I got to go back. I did this wrong. I need to go back a slide. So, okay, here we go. Can you guys see the agenda okay?
Mhm.
You should,
Yep.
yeah, it's okay. All
Yep.
right. Okay, so we can't do the approval of the January 21st, 2021 meeting minutes because we don't have a quorum. So we'll just move on to our report on Soldiers Memorial Military Museum collection, exhibits, programs, and operations. Introducing Director Mark Sunlove.
Thanks, Linnea. I'll get started. I'll keep going. If you have a question, please stop me and interrupt, and I will be happy to address any questions. But I'll go by order here. So with collections, some of the big news in collections, we've posted the the collections assistant position. That's posted, and we are receiving applications. I talked to Kate a little earlier today, and so far we've received about 80 applications for that job. So that's Kate's former position prior to her being promoted to the collections manager position. We also have an internship position posted for the collections, and this is will focus on conducting research on items that Mike, our military and firearms curator, and Kate, the collections manager, have identified that they would like research to be conducted on, and that'll help them conduct more rotations within the core galleries, so to change out more artifacts. But for some of those, they just need to nail down some of the research and the history of the specific artifacts. There are a few items that Mike reports that are kind of in the collections pipeline, but they have not yet made it to the acquisitions committee. One is a World War I photographic history book and the other is a letter from a sister to a soldier. Both of those have a St. Louis connection. So he's working those through the process, and those will probably get to the acquisitions committee the next time we meet.
Okay.
As far as exhibits go, we conducted another rotation in the Rocky Sickman area of the gallery. Rocky loaned us a photographic album that was presented to him by President Reagan following Rocky's visit to the White House upon his return to the US. He also loaned us the parka that was provided to him in Algeria on their, as they were en route home. The released hostages were en route home. So it's that very typical, I'm sure some of you remember the old olive drab parkas with the white fur-lined hood. So that's what was provided to Rocky on his trip home, and that's now in the West Gallery on exhibition.
1 second, Mark, could you, just in case everyone doesn't know, could you tell us who Rocky Sickman is real quickly?
Yeah, you bet. So Rocky is from Krakow, Missouri. Was a young Marine back in '79 who was in Iran and was taken during the Iranian hostage crisis, and spent 444 days along with the others that were at the embassy there as a hostage. And he has a great relationship with Soldiers Memorial for years now, and he's been certainly a friend of ours, and has done a lot of work. He worked for Anheuser-Busch for a number of years, and now he's with an organization called Folds of Honor, which works to establish a scholarship fund for students of veterans. So, and those who were served in combat and potentially killed in action as well. So he's really just a tremendous person. We had a program with him back in January. It was the 40th anniversary of their release, which happened on Inauguration Day back in 1980. And we had a program with both Rocky and a man that he was also held in captivity with, name is Billy, and Billy lives in Pueblo, I believe, or Denver, Colorado. We had a joint program with both of them, talking about not so much about their experiences as hostages, because we've shared that story a few times, but really focused on what their return trip home looked like and how that happened and how they made it back to the US, and eventually ended up being able to return home and see their family. So there's a small exhibit, a portion of the West Gallery that's kind of dedicated to telling his story. There's a piece of the banner that flew at the airport with his name on it, that as they were flying back into St. Louis, that was up there, and that's on exhibit as well. And portions of his diary that he kept while in captivity were previously on exhibit. There's still some portion of that in that exhibition area. But because we've had such a good relationship with him, we've been able to kind of rotate out a lot of those artifacts and share different parts and aspects of his story. So.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Yeah, thanks, Lynette. Then another rotation that's happening in the West Gallery is more with the Stan Musial artifacts. We rotated out his Navy baseball uniform, which was on loan to us from the Cardinals Museum. That the baseball uniform went back to the museum, but then in return they loaned us the pea coat that he wore while in Navy service, which is kind of nice, because actually one of the scrims that covers the one of the windows in the West Gallery is a photo of Stan Musial in that jacket that's now on display. And we're just about ready. I think next week or maybe the week after, we'll be adding his ball cap and his dog tags into that area of the gallery as well. And we're working on the next temporary exhibit for the lower level. So some of you may know, but some of you may not know, during the renovations between 2016 and 2018, that lower level underwent probably the most dramatic transformation in the building. It was converted from some office and storage space into 4,000 square foot temporary gallery. When we reopened in November of 2018, it was home to an exhibit that focused exclusively on World War I. That exhibit came out on January 4th, and now our preparators are changing out the temporary walls in that space and learning how to move these big heavy cases around and get all that work done. For prepping for this summer, when we open on July 24th, an exhibit from the Smithsonian Institution called Righting a Wrong. And this exhibit focuses mostly on the Japanese American incarceration during World War II, but also on the 442nd Combat Regiment Team, which was a almost exclusively Japanese American unit that was formed during the war. And both Katie Schenk, our current intern, and Mike Venso, our curator, have been researching and discovering local individuals who have ties to that history and incorporating their history into this larger kind of national exhibit from the Smithsonian. So that opens on July 24th. And then work on the Vietnam exhibition, which doesn't open until November of 2022, continues. They're still working on ideas and as far as big picture stuff, and some of the recently they've been working a little bit on some of the interactives as well. So taking feedback and giving some presentations to a number of different groups. So
Sounds good.
as far as programs and educational programming, Whitney Tucker, who some of you probably remember, she left Soldiers, I believe it was last Monday.
Wow.
So that position is open, and it's primarily responsible for developing educational programming for children for grades 6 through 12 to work with the schools. So we're looking for a kind of a museum educator to fill that role. And that job also is posted now, and we are in the process of receiving applications. So it'll be nice to get that position filled and get that team kind of reestablished. So we can continue that work. It's really important. I'll dive now into a number of kind of specific programs that have recently happened since we last met, and some of the upcoming programs. Some ongoing programs. Every Wednesday at 1 p.m. we've been hosting an outdoor tour of the memorial, which really focuses almost exclusively on both the architectural aspects of the building, but then also the memorial aspects of Soldiers Memorial as well. And I personally think that that's it's a vitally important part of understanding what Soldiers Memorial is and its role in the community. But because it's outdoors, most of that, it doesn't get a lot of attention, and we don't focus a lot of energy into it, but we're doing that now with these outdoor tours that look exclusively at the memorial aspects and the architectural aspects, and kind of draw a deeper understanding with the public, especially tying in the Court of Honor and how that's connected to the building and those aspects. A number of programs back since we last met. Thursday, January 28th, we hosted Where the Birds Never Sing, and this was author Jack Sako talking about the liberation of Dachau and his father's service in the 92nd Signal Battalion. That was an excellent presentation. And then on February 10th, our curator Mike and Kate, the collections manager, because it was so close to Valentine's Day, they did a great job of looking through the collections and finding a number of letters and mementos that were shared back and forth between sweethearts who were, some were deployed and some back home here. And there's actually a nice bit of that in the collection, so we were able to share that. On February 23rd, we partnered with Yolanda Wood, who's the president of the St. Louis chapter of Tuskegee Airmen. And this is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to keep the legacy of African-American pilots, air crew, and the support staff in World War II alive. And The chapter works to support Tuskegee Airmen Youth, Aerospace and STEM Academy, and scholarship opportunities. So it was a nice opportunity to get Yolanda on to talk about their work and what they're doing, and not only the history of the Tuskegee Airmen, but how that's kind of continued into what their legacy is now. And then just recently, I guess last week, Betty Gonzalez, who I'm sure many of you know, she's a Marine Corps veteran and past Department of Missouri Commander of the American Legion. We had her on during our lunch hour on March 10th to talk about women's contributions to the U.S. military since World War I, including several St. Louisans. And she discussed a little bit about the fight for recognizing the sacrifices that those women have made. That program was titled Changing the Face of Courage. Upcoming programs, these are pretty interesting. Next week, March 25th, local author Thomas Karan, who has studied the imprisonment of women Confederate persons during the Civil War, and recently published a book, Women Making War, Female Confederate Prisoners and Union Military Justice. So it's kind of this, this little niche story, but a really an important one, especially how the U.S. government began to look at women and understand that they were indeed, I mean, this has obviously been the case since the dawn of mankind, but that women were playing an important political role in this sense, as they were supporting the Confederacy, but the U.S. government had to deal with them in the realm of political agency, which is interesting. So he'll be on to talk about his book and the work that he's done. And then on April 14th, we're partnering with the St. Louis Art Museum. Melissa Wolf, who is the curator of American art, is going to be on to discuss Walker Hancock and his work. The 4 monumental statues here at Soldiers Memorial were conducted by Walker Hancock. So she'll be on talking more about him and his role as an artist, and also his role as a monumentsman during World War II. And then another Civil War topic on April 29th, No Refuge. This is Brendan Hamilton. He's a local Civil War enthusiast and independent researcher. He's discovered and researched the story of 3 underage boys who were recruited by the Union Army during the Civil War from the St. Louis House of Refuge, which was a home for orphaned and delinquent children operated by the city. So it's this real kind of interesting, again, another angle to the Civil War that most of us probably weren't aware of. And then finally, for programs, Memorial Day, that's planned out. We're going to do much like we did last year, but we're going to add to it a little bit. Last year, if you'll recall, we did videos. We made videos that shared the history of individuals who are memorialized here, who had lost their lives in service. We're going to do that video series again, but we're going to add a little bit to it this year. We're going to put wreaths at each of the 5 memorials, and then we're going to make flowers available to guests throughout the entire day who want to come by and pick up a few flowers and then lay them at the memorials in the Court of Honor. And then we're going to place the flags back into the Court of Honor as we did back in 2019. So that should be a nice event. And then that coupled with the videos, but still living under this COVID reality that we're trying to avoid large congregations, large numbers of people coming all at the same time. So trying to space that out.
Sure.
Finally, operations.
Go
ahead.
I just wondered, has there been any word when they maybe when the History Museum will be changing its COVID policies or?
Yep, I'll get into that right now. We did recently go up to 25% capacity limit, which was previously approved by the city. We operated for the first, I guess 6 or 8 months of COVID at 10%. We're now accepting up to 25% within the gallery. So that's one important change.
A big change, yeah.
Yep. And then our rentals resume on April 1st.
Okay,
And we already have really received a kind of, I think Molly was surprised, I was surprised at the number of requests that are coming in for building rentals. The vast majority, I think almost all of them have come from military units who are looking to once again use the facility for promotions, retirements,
sure.
change of command ceremonies, and things of that nature.
That's good
The
to
NG
hear.
Yeah, the NGA will be here for the first one. That's on April 1st. That'll be a nice retirement ceremony. So I think we were really pleasantly surprised and pleased that, that there's always that nervous kind of apprehension that we had lost those connections, but to see the phone calls come in and the requests for the building is reassuring. That's good to see.
That's good.
And then we're also in April, we're restoring opportunities for the volunteers to serve within the galleries. We stopped doing that under COVID originally, but now enabling volunteers who want to interact with guests at a socially distanced and masked space between one another within the galleries to serve that kind of gallery guide role.
That's good.
Those are the biggest changes in operations. Everything else is pretty much remaining the same. We're going to go back to the city soon with a kind of a new plan for or a new proposal for how to do some very limited and small scale programs in the buildings. So that'll be kind of the next step, and we'll probably start to see, we hope anyway, we start to see that happening sometime in July or August, where we can do some
Okay.
limited programs on site. So
Okay, thank you so much for telling us, Mark. Those are actually big changes. I mean, 10 to 25% seems a little bit, maybe like not so much, but it is after what we've been through this past year. That's a big change. That's good to hear. And resuming programming, or not programming, but the events, that's a really big change too.
yeah, it's exciting. And Linnea, it's just, I love when the military units come
Yeah.
on site and do those ceremonies. It's such a meaningful thing that, that the memorial is here for those units to use in that way. It's really great. And so really just relieved and thankful that they're coming back and didn't forget about us.
Yeah.
So that's all I have. I'd love to field any questions or concerns or comments.
Mark, it's Judith.
Hi,
Maybe
Judith.
I didn't hear everything you said, but has the Legion approached you about the June flag retirement ceremony?
They have not. I haven't spoken with the, I think 422 has typically done that. I've not heard from them. Go ahead.
Isn't that your post?
Yeah, yep.
Maybe ask them.
Yeah,
That's all outside anyway.
yeah, we are doing at least an online flag etiquette and flag folding instruction. And then we did put out the announcement that we're taking flags again. And as
Good.
yeah.
We have a bunch.
Yeah, I know they have a bunch too. They have they have a lot. This is from what they've told me.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah, we were about ready to take our collection over to them, but now we'll get it to you.
yeah, yep, you can do that.
So where do people take the flags if they're bringing them to Soldiers Memorial to retire? The
They
flag
could leave them at the front desk.
at the front desk. Okay.
Yep, yep.
That's good to know.
You bet.
Any other questions for Mark? No?
And all that programming that I rambled through, I think we did this last year, but there's an e-newsletter that I think we got all the commission members signed up for. But you should be, if you sign up for that, you'll get an email that says when these events are happening. And of course, they're all still online. They're all virtual. So
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, how do I sign up for that?
Jason, I'll send out a link. I'll send a thing to Linnea, and then she can forward it to all the commission members.
Sure.
And
Okay.
We'll just do another round of, we'll probably
Yeah.
just do that every now and then, just to make sure that people have it and are
Yeah.
able to.
Okay.
sign them. Yeah,
Yeah, Marcus, Judith, again, thank you so very much, because I'm receiving nothing from you guys.
okay. Yeah, we'll send it back around, and there'll be some instructions on there on how to sign up. I haven't heard from you either, Judith. I've been wondering if Post 4 has been meeting for lunch on Fridays, or is that
Well,
suspended?
we're starting again in April.
Okay, okay.
That's good. Any
I'll
other
be sure
questions?
that you get the newest newsletter.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mark? If there's no other questions, I can move on to our next agenda item, which is calling for questions, new business, or announcements. Anybody? No? Okay. I guess then, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
Okay. Do I
It's
second?
Judith, I second.
Okay, second it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes and we'll adjourn right now then, and ending the March 18th, 2021 meeting of the Soldiers Memorial Commission. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, Maya.
guys.
Thank you.
Is
Good to
Mark
see everybody.
Bye-bye.
You too.